Okay, we're back. I've got Brady Ramsey again here with Over the Top Magic. How are you doing, Brady?
Doing all right. Just a little tired.
I bet you're staying busy. Well, today we're going to talk about, again, we're on a series of what to do if you're a business and you want to participate in a trade show and you want to have a great presentation there. You want it to be an easy and smooth process, predictable. You want to have it happen within your budget. And you want to find great and reliable talent that can help you generate leads and sales so that you get more and better results. And this is the fourth milestone, as we call it. And we put on a total of 5 videos. We had one for the overview, and now you're catching us on the one where we're going to actually talk about putting on the actual event. And we're going to go over a few points there. So, Brady, first of all, what is a trade show like in terms of, if it's a company that's never done one, what should they expect? And how do they prepare for this? I know there's supposed to be a pre-planning meeting, and you want to inform the entertainer on how to help you have a good trade show. So what does that look like for that first checkpoint?
Um, well, you want to, as you mentioned in previous videos, make sure that they are a legit magician, and that's where the pre-planning meeting comes in, because you want to meet them, audition them, make sure they know what they're talking about and that can be entertaining and gets your crowd to the booth. You don't want to just call someone willy-nilly and then schedule them to be at your trade show and they say okay, and and you can't trust them that way, because there's a lot of things that go into it. As businesses know, you have to have the airfare, hotel, and all that details worked out. You can't just expect the magician to say okay and I'll be there. So there's a lot of things that go into it. The pre-meeting is very important.
And who might be at that? Is that, the magician obviously needs to be a part of that meeting. Who else needs to be a part of that?
Well, the magician, I don't know if it needs to be the owner of the company, but just one of the higher ups of the company. They may not be at the trade show, but the entertainer, any sales reps that will be at the trade show need to know what's going on and who's coming, because you need to coordinate with each other on things that are going to be happening throughout the weekend or each day. So they all need to know what's going on.
By the way, this just came to my mind too. I had a question for you. Do you think the entertainer needs to know much about the company or their product or their service? You kind of have to know what it is.
Yeah, that's a huge thing, actually, because one of the things the entertainer needs to know is, are they promoting a specific product, or is the entertainer just there to generate more leads, get people to the booth, and get them to give them their information? Because some trade shows are kind of like a fair. You'll just walk around and see tons of booths. And then some trade shows, there's a big area, depending on the size of the company, where you'll scan your badge to even get into the booth. So that way they know they're getting leads.
I guess that takes us to the second step of our process, which is confirming the details and the schedule of the performance. So this is something I don't know anything about. You'll have to tell me. Does this mean that there's a schedule of multiple performances by the entertainer?
Yes, there should be a schedule of how many times you're performing per hour and what kind of performance. Because throughout the day, you may just start off with something really small just to get the crowds in. And then once you realize, hey, I've got enough people, you guys stick around and I'm going to do an actual 15-minute show for you. And you want to try to do that a couple times in an hour. So, and then multiply that by 8-hour day. So.
And how many can you get in? Do you think? How many performances?
Depends. If you advertise and then people show up, you might be able to do 3 in an hour. But if you don't, then you have to rely on the close-up and getting the people to the booth and holding them there to start a show.
Is there a balance too? Do you not want to have shows constantly because you do want people to also have time at the booth and not be at the show? Or does it just continuously go and people kind of come over? How does that work?
Well, usually if you, like, say if you do 2 in an hour, then you'll set it up to where you have your 15-minute show, and then it leads into the sales reps spiel, and then by then you'll have another posting to where, oh, at this time is the next show. If it's set up that way, then it will be closed off, because it's always weird to have people show up halfway through the show and not know what's going on. It's kind of like people walking into the theater after the previews and trying to find a seat when it's already dark.
Got it.
And you're like, get out of the way.
Right. Now, so would you maybe post a sign? I've seen, sometimes when you go to an event, a place, there is a sign, next show is at 10:30, that kind of thing. Would you maybe post that somewhere?
Yeah, there'd probably be a few signs. There'll be a sign obviously close to your booth, and then a few signs throughout the trade show, I'm sure, to say, come to this booth at this time if you want to see a show. And then it'll pique people's interest, and then they'll at least be in the vicinity and decide a last second if you want to go in or not. So.
Makes sense. And you probably need a break too. So if you do a show, don't you need to kind of recharge your batteries a little bit and maybe set things up again? So you need a certain amount of time between shows?
Depends. You want to bring a few different shows to a trade show. That way you have at least two ready to go every hour, so you're not needing to set up the same show, or you have that same show set up. But you want to bring a few different shows for the weekend, because you don't want to get burned out doing the same thing over and over and over.
Mm. And also, in case somebody goes to more than one show, they get to see two different things.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Wow. Okay. All right. So we've covered that. The next thing is good communication at the event. That was another point that you mentioned. So what does that mean? And I guess, how could that go wrong?
Well, there's once you have that pre-meeting, hopefully you won't need a whole lot of good communication at the event, because hopefully you have all the details worked out. Because last thing you need is for salespeople, where's the magician? We already had this set up. There's a show. And because you just want it to be as flawless as possible for the money that the company should be paying the entertainment. They don't want to be babysitting the entertainment, because you'll definitely end up not getting booked again. So if they have to hunt you down.
Right. Is there usually a point person though that you'll communicate with as the magician with the company? Is there somebody in particular that there's got to be
Yeah,
one person,
it'll
right?
probably just be one of the sales reps that you'll be attached at the hip, I guess you could say. Because even at the trade show, like, depending on the company, you'll even just look like an employee. You'll wear what they're wearing,
Oh, okay.
versus being in like your normal 3-piece suit or whatever you'd be wearing, depending on the company.
Oh, I never even thought of that. So
Yeah, because
okay.
some of them, they want you to learn their product to where you look like just an employee, and you can answer the questions during your show also. And then that way there's no hesitation. But sometimes you'll need to include the salespeople throughout the show, so people don't just get up and leave when they start anticipating the sales guys coming.
Do you sometimes include the product in your show? I'm sure that would be more difficult. You might have to charge extra for that. But have you ever done that? Like,
we can do that as long as there's enough time between when you book me and when the trade show is. We can customize a trick or whatever using that specific product, and then there'd be an extra charge as a scripting fee, and the fact that we have to take time to invent a trick with your product.
That'd be fun though. I'm sure they would like that. Okay, well, let's talk about the next thing, badge scanning and incentives and raffles and all that kind of stuff, those extras. Can you explain what is badge scanning? I mean, for somebody that does this, it's probably old hat, but if you were a business and hadn't really done one before, you might not even know what that means. You might want to explain that.
Yeah, a lot of trade shows, they'll, if they know that you're participating, they'll give you a badge that has like a picture and all your information, your phone number, email, what company you're coming from, or things like that. If you're just a spectator coming to a trade show, which happens, and you're interested in buying products, then they want you to be able, they don't want to take the time to, hey, while you're here, write down your information on this clipboard versus just scan your badge, let us know you're interested in the product. And that way they scan and they can come see what they're looking at, and then they have their sales funnel already like recuperating without all the hassle of a long line of people having to write down their information, because people don't want to, it's a go, 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 and they don't want to stop and do that.
I think that's a fantastic idea. Most of the booths that I've been involved in were very old fashioned, and you just had paper and people would write, and the problem is you can't read their handwriting, you know, later on you're trying to input all of the data that you've collected, and half of it you can't read, or they accidentally wrote it wrong, or they just purposely, wrote the wrong information because they didn't want you to have it, which is hopefully doesn't happen, but it sometimes does. So you have all of this stuff that looks like good information and you can't really use it. So I like this badge scanning thing. Sounds like it makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, it's I'm sure you'll still run into it at trade shows. But if, like, say if you went to a fair, like a county fair or state fair, they still have it set up that way. Hey, sign your name here and your email, and then see if you win this prize. And then of course everybody wins because they want you to come do this timeshare thing. And
Right.
then that's how they get everyone's information versus, yeah.
Right. Are there incentives that, I mean, in a trade show, I know, like you just said, it's different than a county fair or booth of, at the farmer's market, but are there incentives that a company might have to get someone to scan their badge, contests, raffles? Do they do that there also? Is that a good idea, or is that just kind of for the small time places?
No, some booths will do it. Um, they'll bring enough of the product that they're selling, or an old product or something that they trying to get rid of, is scan your badge, and every hour we'll have a drawing and you could be the winner. And that keeps them also in the building to want to come to the show, because they'll announce the winner after the show, and then boom, they get the prize. Either they could take, depending on the size of the prize, if they scan their badge, then obviously we send an email, we can mail it to them, or if it's small enough, here's your prize, and then they carry it around. But
That sounds like a good idea. Do you ever participate in that as a performer? So do you sometimes mention, hey, everybody, at the end, they're going to do a raffle, or do you try to just kind of let them do that when they announce you? How does that part work?
well, it'd be, sometimes I'll have you, the performer, announce it once you have your crowd, and that'll also keep them there long enough for the sales pitch.
Got it. Excellent. Okay, that moves us to the final point here on this one is this idea of planting a salesperson in the audience to help maximize engagement. Have you seen that happen before? Have you done that, or what do you recommend there? Tell us more about that.
Yeah, there's a couple ways. Like I mentioned, if the company wants you to learn that specific product or as much as their product, then they have sorry, I have
You got a fan. You have a fan in the background. Excited one.
Yeah, but if they want you to learn their product, that way, if an audience member during the show has a question, you don't have to stop the show to say, hey, well, let me get the sales guy over here. You could just answer it because you look like an employee anyway. But if it's set up to where you look like the performer only, we could put salespeople in the crowds to ask the question as an audience member,
Mm.
and then um, the salespeople will pop up and go, oh, they'll know to answer the question at that time because it's planned and it doesn't interrupt from the show. So
Excellent. That's a fantastic tip. I think we talked about a lot today, just more than I thought when it comes to putting on a great trade show event or corporate event like a trade show. We got pre-planning, a pre-planning meeting, making sure that you're communicating with the entertainer well, confirming all the details and having a good schedule. And like you said, you can have multiple performances at that event organized so that it helps you maximize your sales. Having good communication is key. Making sure that you've got good incentives or raffles for the badge scanning, and then maybe even having a salesperson in the audience to help ask the right questions or to answer questions or to, help. That sounds like it would make for a good trade show event.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you would add to that that we haven't talked about?
Not really. Just that even if in the scenario as if there's only one show per hour, you're still getting at least 7 shows, because I'm sure there's a break in there for the entertainer to take a lunch or something. But the trade shows are kind of like a go, go, go. If you find an entertainer that is all talk and you get to the trade show and they're not delivering, then you'll know that you don't want to use them again, because for what you should be paying them, they should be really busting their butt at the trade show to do your company justice and to make it worth your while to have them there. So
Excellent. So how does somebody get a hold of you if they want to ask questions or if they want to hire you for their next event?
well, you can go to overthetopmagic.com and there's a form to fill out, or you can just call me directly. That number is also on the website. You can look up Over the Top Magic on Facebook, or just Brady Ramsey on Facebook. Brady at overthetopmagic.com, or overthetopmagic at yahoo.com. There's a bunch of emails, but the website would be the best place to start, and you can get a hold of me from there. So
Awesome. Well, thank you, Brady. That was great today. Thanks for sharing.
yeah,